My best friend Maya took her own life on a Tuesday, and the note she left wasn't for her parents, not for her brother, not for the man she'd been dating. It was for me. It was a single folded piece of paper, handed to me by a detective whose eyes were full of a pity I couldn't even begin to process. My hands were shaking so badly I couldn't open it. He had to do it for me. It was 3 lines long in her familiar, looping handwriting. "Ilara," it read, "I can't, it's just too heavy, and you're the only one who knows what I did. I'm sorry to leave this with you, but I can't carry it anymore." I read it once, then a second time, then a third. The words just swam, they wouldn't make sense. Because I was standing in my living room, the world having just been ripped out from under me, and I had one single screaming thought. I have no idea what she's talking about. What she did? Maya. Maya was good. She was the one who rescued stray cats. The one who'd sit with you on the phone in silence for an hour if you were sad, just so you wouldn't be alone. The one who always tried to do the right thing. And me? I was the only one who knew. The next few days were a special kind of torment. There's grief, and then there's this. This was grief poisoned by a mystery. I went to the funeral. I stood in a black dress that felt too tight. I watched her mother, a woman who had been a second mom to me, just collapse. I heard the platitudes. She's in a better place. She was such a bright light. And all I could think was, what did you do, Maya? What secret were you carrying that was so heavy it pulled you under? And what kind of friend am I? That you thought I knew, and I didn't? I became a ghost at my own friend's memorial. I was there, but I was also gone. I was digging. I was obsessively, frantically ransacking 20 years of memories trying to find the thing. Did we hit someone with a car in high school and block it out? No, that's a movie. Did we steal something? Did she have a secret habit? A secret anything? I tore my apartment apart looking for old diaries, for yearbooks, for anything. I found photos. Us at prom, all pink tulle and bad decisions. Us graduating college, drunk on cheap champagne and possibility. Us on our first adult vacation, sunburned and laughing. In every photo she looked like Maya. My Maya. There was no darkness, no hidden secret. But the note wouldn't let me go. You're the only one who knows. It was an accusation. It felt like she had left me holding the one thing that could have saved her, and I just let it drop. I stopped sleeping. When I did, I had nightmares. Not about her being gone, but about her being here, standing in my room, her eyes full of disappointment, asking me, how could you forget? I was spiraling. I was losing my mind. The grief was a fog, but the guilt was a knife. What kind of person blocks something so big, so life-altering that it could lead to this? Was I a sociopath? Was I just broken? After 2 weeks of this, of living on coffee and paranoia, I did the only thing I could think of. I called a therapist, not a grief counselor, a specialist, a woman who dealt in trauma and memory. I sat on her stupid, comfortable couch, the note itself, the original which the police had given me, clutched in my hand. I don't think I'm here for grief, I told her, my voice sounding thin. I think I'm here because I think I've lost a memory that might have cost my best friend her life. She listened. She didn't judge. She just watched me. Ilara, she said, her voice so calm it was almost infuriating. Grief can do strange things to memory. And suicide. It often leaves behind 1,000 unanswered questions. We tend to want to find one single answer, a why. That note, that's your why. And you can't solve it. But what if I can? I insisted. What if it's in there, locked? And so we started. We didn't talk about my grief, we talked about memory, about how the brain buries things, how it creates black holes to protect us. She asked me to go back. Find a time, she said. A time when you and Maya were scared or in trouble. A time when you felt that adolescent panic. I closed my eyes. I let the sound of her voice pull me down. I expected nothing. A blank, but then a smell, stale beer and smoke and cheap perfume. Where are you? She asked. A party, I whispered. College, sophomore year, a frat party. I didn't want to be there. Find Maya, she said. I searched the memory. The music was too loud. The bodies were pressed too tight. I remembered. I'd lost her. I was annoyed. I was ready to go. I was looking for her to tell her I was leaving. I can't find her, I said. She's not there. Look again, she urged. Where's the one place you wouldn't think to look? Upstairs. The memory became sharp, too sharp. The red Solo cup in my hand, the sticky floor, the walk up those rickety stairs, the hallway of closed doors. I'm looking for her, I narrated, my heart starting to pound. I'm calling her name, and one door, it's locked. What do you do? I knock. I'm annoyed. Maya, let's go. My voice in the present was shaking. And I hear something, not a no, but a whimper, like a cat. I felt the panic from that night, fresh, 10 years later. I pound on the door. Maya, open the door! The memory unspooled. The door opened, and he was standing there. Mark, captain of the soccer team, big man on campus, golden boy. His shirt was untucked. He was smiling. That stupid, easy smile. Just messing around, Alara, he slurred. She's fine. And he pushed past me. He just left. I go into the room, I said, and the tears were starting to stream from under my closed eyelids. It's dark. The bed is a mess, and she's there. What does she look like? Small, I choked out. She's curled up, her dress is torn at the shoulder, and she's just empty. Her eyes they're not there. I remembered sitting on the bed. I remembered touching her hair. I asked her, Maya, what happened? Did he hurt you? And her voice, it was a ghost. Nothing, she whispered. Nothing happened. I wanted it, I let him, it's fine. That's a lie, I whispered back to her across time. Maya, that's a lie. No, she said, her voice suddenly sharp. She sat up. She grabbed my hands. Her grip was like steel. Alara, nothing happened. You hear me? He didn't do anything. It was me, my fault. I led him on. Maya, no. Promise me, she begged, and now her tears were falling. Promise me you will never tell anyone. Not what you saw, not anything. It was my fault. What I did, it was my fault. Promise me, Alara. Promise me. And I was 19. I was scared. My best friend was breaking in front of me, and I didn't know what to do, so I did the only thing I could. I promise, Maya. I promise. My eyes snapped open. I was back in the therapist's office, gasping for air, snot and tears all over my face. She just handed me a box of tissues. I'd done it. I had unlocked the memory, the black hole, and it was so much worse than I could have imagined. The note. You're the only one who knows what I did. I'd thought she was the one confessing, that she had done something. A crime, a betrayal. But I was wrong. She wasn't confessing. She was just still ashamed. She had spent 10 years believing, truly, down to her bones, that what happened in that room was her fault. What I did. And I was the only one who knew. The only one who saw. And I was the one who had promised to help her bury it. To help her lie. The grief I had felt before, it was nothing. It was a paper cut. This was an amputation. This was the realization that my best friend hadn't just died. She had been eroding for a decade. And I had held the shovel. I don't remember the drive home from the therapist's office. I don't remember walking in my front door. The next thing I remember is standing in my kitchen, the sun having set, and I was just vibrating. The fog of grief. It was gone. It had burned away. And in its place was a rage so cold, so pure, it was almost calm. It wasn't rage at Maya, it was rage at him, Mark, and it was rage at myself, for being 19, for being scared, for making a promise I was too young to understand, and for keeping it too well, for burying a memory so deep it had to be excavated. The note, it wasn't an accusation. Not really. It wasn't I blame you, it was just a fact. I'm leaving this with you. She couldn't carry it anymore, so she'd passed it to me. I sat at my computer, and for the first time I Googled his name, Mark Jennings. And there he was. Of course, he wasn't some bum. He wasn't in jail. He was a community leader, a venture capitalist. He had a perfect, smiling wife, Two perfect smiling kids, a son and a daughter. I felt the sickness rise in my throat. He was living this beautiful life, a life built on the foundations of what? How many others? How many Mayas were out there who didn't have a friend who'd promised to stay silent? The mission, it changed. The mystery was solved. But the story, it wasn't over. I needed justice. For her. But what did that even mean? I couldn't go to the police. Hi, detective. 10 years ago, my friend, who is now gone, was assaulted by this very powerful man. My only proof is a memory I just unlocked in therapy. And a 3-line note you'll say is ambiguous. They would laugh. They would call me unstable, grieving, hysterical. No, that wasn't the path. So I became an investigator. I wasn't just looking for Mark Jennings. I was looking for Mark Jennings creep, Mark Jennings assault, Mark Jennings rumor. I went deep. Old college forums, anonymous message boards. I looked for patterns, and I found one. It wasn't a smoking gun. It was just whispers. A blind item on a Survivor blog from 5 years ago. Anyone else have a run-in with a certain golden boy soccer captain from our university class of 16? Left me feeling so ashamed. One comment from a user named Jenny22. Me too. I don't know how I found her. I'm not a hacker. I was just a woman on a mission. I cross-referenced the username. I found an old dormant social media account. I found a connected friend. I found that friend's current account. And I sent a message. This is going to sound insane. My name is Ilara. I'm looking for a woman named Jenny who went to our university. I need to talk to her about Mark Jennings. 2 days of silence. I thought it was a dead end. Then my phone rang. An unknown number. This is Jenny, the voice said. Who is this? And I told her. I told her everything. About Maya, about the party, about the note. And for a full minute she just cried. I thought I was the only one, she whispered. He did the same thing. The same routine. Got me alone. Made me feel special. And then made me feel like trash. Like it was my fault. And then she said the words that blew the world open. And I know another girl, Sarah. He did it to her too, a year after us. It wasn't just me and Maya anymore. There was an us. We met, the three of us, me, Jenny, and Sarah, in a coffee shop. It was the most surreal and the most powerful meeting of my life. We were 3 strangers, bound by this one, terrible, shared trauma, and by the ghost of my best friend. We cried, we shared stories, we validated each other, and the rage, it wasn't just mine anymore. It was ours. We had a choice. We could let it go. We could let this successful, powerful man continue his life while we lived with the wreckage. Or we could burn it all down. We chose fire. We pooled our money. We hired a lawyer. Not for a lawsuit. Not at first. We hired an investigator, and then we went to a reporter. An investigative journalist. A woman. A woman with a reputation for breaking unbreakable men. We gave her everything. My note. Jenny's story. Sarah's story. The investigator's findings, which had uncovered 2 more women. The story broke on a Monday. It was nuclear. Community leader, tech investor, Mark Jennings accused by multiple women. His face was everywhere. He denied it, of course. He hired a crisis PR team. He called us, unstable, fame-seeking, liars. He called me a grieving, hysterical woman lashing out. He used the exact words I thought he would. But it didn't work. Because it wasn't just me. It was Jenny, it was Sarah, it was the other women, it was a pattern. He was fired. His wife, near she left him, she took the kids, and the police, facing a massive public pressure campaign and 5 credible victims, finally, opened a formal investigation. The last I heard, he was facing multiple charges. It's not over. It'll probably go on for years, but it's a start. I went to see Maya. I went to her grave. It was the first time I'd gone back since I remembered. I brought the newspaper. They're listening now, Maya, I said. My voice didn't even shake. We did it. I sat there for a long time. The sun was setting. It was quiet. I pulled out the note, her note, the one I keep in my wallet. You're the only one who knows what I did. I finally understood it. I'd been wrong. Twice. First, I thought she'd done a crime. Then, I thought she was confessing to shame. But she was smarter than that. What I did. She wasn't talking about the assault. She wasn't talking about the shame. She was talking about the silence, the carrying. What I did was survive for 10 years. What I did was carry this impossible weight, alone, for a decade. That was the doing. That was the act. The exhausting, soul-crushing, 10-year-long act of carrying on. And she was right. I was the only one who knew. The only one who knew the origin of that weight. She didn't leave me the note as a burden or an accusation. She left it as a key, a map. She left it as a weapon, map. She knew. She must have known somewhere deep down that I was the only one who could and who would finally use it. The silence. The silence is what took her. The promise I made. It was a prison. And I will never be silent again.